and stuff you don't. It's the Ben and Bren Show.
I'm stupid as shit, so like, yeah, just go with it.
It's gonna be the first thing in the audio.
Yeah.
I am stupid as shit. Same. Isn't the human race just stupid as shit?
Yes. Yes.
I'm trying to get my like hand. What's the best? What do you guys
I hold
do?
it like an ice cream cone
guys
sometimes.
We were talking about this
Yeah.
recently. We're gonna upgrade at some point to some.
We'll get the arms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. There's something just like vibey about holding it.
Yeah,
though, but
it's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's
no, I
kinda
just didn't know
uncomfortable.
what the.
Yeah, I usually hold here.
Yeah.
This maybe.
Yeah.
I like
Okay.
There you
that.
go.
Okay.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm doing.
Okay.
Looking
Yeah.
like a podcaster.
Yeah.
All right. Professional podcaster.
Emily Wright, the legend,
Thank you.
and my old neighbor.
Yes. More importantly.
Never been never
Sadly.
been wrong in my eyes. So there you go. That's
Yeah.
my joke. My one joke.
Sadly now in Pasadena.
I know.
Sadly for us.
It's
I love Pasadena.
Pasadena is
Pasadena
great.
is great, but
Yeah.
being neighbors, like neighbor vibe, was pretty great.
It was great.
Yeah, it's
It was
pretty
great.
great.
Yeah.
Right, because you used to live down the street from.
But
the
like
studio.
having someone, like I don't know, I don't think like since I was a little kid, like having people be like, hey,
Yeah.
as they're like walking their dog past your house,
Yeah.
and just like, oh, come chat,
Yeah,
come
yeah, yeah.
inside. Like
Yeah.
it's such a friendly vibe.
Yeah.
That's your current vibe in
No,
Pasadena.
it was here.
in
Yeah.
Atwater.
I mean, I lived like 20 houses down.
Yeah.
It was
But
like
Literally on
you-
the same street.
Yeah.
You now have. Is it still neighborhoody where you're at, or you?
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It's. I'm learning the neighborhood. They're actually. I moved to the. It won best neighborhood in the country.
Wow. Nice.
In I think either last year or the year before.
I think I'm going to your neighborhood tonight
I have
for a dinner.
I don't even think there are any restaurants.
Yeah.
There. Wait. Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
you're not joking?
Pete White. Do you know Pete White and Jen Cook?
I don't. But
I think they told me that
That
about
they also
their
won the
neighborhood
best
because they're
neighborhood in
in
the country?
Pasadena.
They are
as
in
well.
Pasadena. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to their house.
You've been to theirs.
I forget.
I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
remember
yeah,
the
you guys
address.
might be in the same.
We'll chat
neighborhood.
about it after the show. I'll
Yeah,
figure
because
out.
and like the neighbors like flew to Texas to accept the award.
Yes.
and
Wow.
I got a shirt. That says,
So it's like Texas where they.
they announced
And
there's
that's
like
where
the competition.
Yeah, it's where the.
But we moved
headquarters
to
are.
I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, it's lovely. It's a very cute
Yeah.
neighborhood, but it's not. It's not.
I feel like
Yeah, I mean-
Pasadena is like, because I used to live in Beverly Hills when I first moved here, and once I got out of Beverly Hills, I was like, yeah, I didn't really like it there. It was so. I feel like Pasadena is like the
Less lizard people.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Pasadena is like Beverly Hills. It's like the niceties of it, but without the without minus a lot of cuntiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Beverly Hills is
What
weird.
I have to say about that. But
Also, do you guys have the red lights? I'm just making sure.
I have a red
Yeah.
light.
Okay. Great.
I do.
Yeah, we miss you over here in Atwater.
We miss
Jupiter does too.
it. I know. We
And
Jupiter.
and our yearly supply of fresh oranges.
oranges. I know
Oh.
that's probably the word. I had an orange tree that was. I mean, like literally hundreds.
Yeah. It was a consistently reliable
and they
orange
were
tree.
really good.
Really juicy, super flavorful.
There was an orange tree in the back too. There was like a second orange tree.
Did you have a juicer that or like that was squeeze it for you?
I
or
had
like a thing?
like a
Okay,
like a,
yeah.
And you made the marmalade.
I made marmalade.
Oh, I love a
it
marmalade.
was really good.
God, I love a jam.
I still like.
Slap
I want
that
to
on
go
some
past
toast.
that house and be like, these are still sort of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just go in there, just take some. They'll
I'd have delivery drivers like be like steal them off the tree
Yeah.
as they walk by.
Yeah.
Like come into the yard and just be like.
Yeah.
in our old other crib there was a lemon bush and also gets like hundreds, like gets
Yeah.
so many, and we were just watching TV one night and it was late. It was like 10:30 and somebody comes and knocks on our door and we're like, this is sus.
Yeah.
Then answered it and they were like, can we get some lemons?
At 10:30
Yeah, it was
at
like
night.
late. Yeah, it was really weird. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Made mad lemonade. Mad amounts of homemade lemonade.
Yeah.
Got real good at that. Yeah, that's what's so great about California is there's so much of that.
How
There's
are
like
the
a grapefruit
avocados?
thing on this tree. I don't think it's going to be a big yield this year. There was that one year a couple of years ago where we also got like hundreds of them.
That's good.
But I don't know. These last couple of years, it's been not as. I mean, the tree is super healthy. I mean, it's lush as hell. But yeah, I don't think we'll get a ton. Might get a dozen or two.
Living off the land.
Yeah, truly. But we've been waiting to have you on, so
Oh,
we're
boy.
super glad you're here.
Thanks, guys.
Got all the stories, I'm sure.
Uh-oh.
But you also but are from the same area as our very close friend Dylan in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So where in Connecticut are you from originally?
I grew up right outside of Hartford, Wethersfield, Connecticut, and then moved to Glastonbury, Connecticut. So
And when you were like younger, older?
Yeah, like I was born in Hartford, like moved when I was 14 across the river to Glastonbury, where Dylan's bandmates, Val and TJ, are from. And so I went to high school with them.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also know one of their other band members, spacing on his name right now. Ted. Yeah. Ted is like also on this street, like 4 houses down.
I've seen him walk by and like when I lived here and was like, I think that's the other Bare Hands guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can't be. I don't know if we never like put it together, but
Yeah.
I saw him. I was like, I know that guy.
We saw their show the other night.
They played like
It was
Oh, you
last
did?
week at Rock and
so
Lounge.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna. I Matt was working, and so I couldn't go.
Yeah.
But I texted Val and was like, I would have loved to have gone and seen them.
Yeah, it was great.
It
Thanks
was
for questioning.
amazing. Bare Hands' 10-year anniversary of Distraction.
Oh, really?
Their hit record. Yeah, and then he played a lot of. They played a lot of their new music too, which I also just love.
They're
It's
great.
So good.
They're great. They're
Yeah, so Dylan is engaged to my cousin, which is how I know Dylan. And then I introduced Dylan and Ursula, who is my cousin, to Brennan last year.
they're
And
now
they
my brother and
basically
my sister.
became
Yeah.
family like immediately.
Yeah.
They hang out more than I hang out with.
Do they live here now?
Yeah, so they were in Oregon for a while. Well,
Okay.
Dylan lived in Brooklyn for a long time.
Right.
Then he moved out here with my cousin prior to COVID. And then they moved to Oregon around COVID. And then they just moved back to LA like a year ago.
Okay.
About.
Okay.
And they're over in Beverly Glen, which is where we have a long family sort of stay. Fun little tidbit. Do you know who Vincent Price is? It's like a old school actor from
Yeah.
back in the day. He's like the evil voice in Thriller.
Yes.
So Vincent Price is Ursula and mine's great uncle.
What?
Yeah. And they lived in that Beverly Glen area. So we have like a long like family.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's a
That's
small
amazing.
world.
It's a really small world because, yeah, it's like I went to high school with half or now 2/3 of Bare Hands, right? Or is there? Oh wait, no, there's still 4 of them now, right?
There are 3 OG members,
Okay.
and then the guitar player is just kind of like a rotated out hired gun situation.
It's just crazy that like I don't know, that we both.
I know,
them
it's-
through-
The degrees of separation
Yeah.
are few.
I know.
And like the world can feel so big, but it's a really pretty small place.
Yeah.
Especially in the human race. So grew up in Connecticut and
in
then went to NYU.
Correct.
And
You've done your homework.
yes, well, I know these things. I'm the Nardwar of Atwater. You know who Nardwar is?
No.
Do you know who Nardwar is?
I have no idea.
Oh, good. I
He's
was
this
feeling.
he's this interviewer. he's like super wacky, but he'll like interview artists and things and know just like crazy facts, and they're like, how do you know that? Like just like stuff from like their childhood.
The Hot Ones guy does that too. He'll like get these like weird, like really specific
like,
little tidbits.
how
like,
did you
You were
figure
in this high school theater production of, or whatever.
Yeah. So he's like known for that. So I'm the Nardwuar of Atwater.
All right.
And you went to NYU for theater.
Correct.
And
Theater directing.
So, but then, because now, I mean, fast forward, but then we'll rewind. Super amazing career as a vocal producer, songwriter, producer in general. You and Brian have a musical, which Brian premiered on the Ben
I
and
did
Bren
know that.
show.
I did know that.
And so blossomed into a really amazing musical journey, but it started in theater and theater directing. Because didn't you do theater? Well, let's. I'm not going to guess. What was the? Let's get it from the source.
So I really wanted to be a theater director. I thought it was great and went to school for it, and And while I was at NYU, I had to take a design class. It was like a requirement, and so I didn't really like costume design. Lighting and set design, you had to take drafting first. And I don't know, for some reason I didn't want to take drafting, which I sort of regret now. But they had just started offering sound design. It was like the first year, and I was like, okay, I'll take sound design. And I think there were 3 other kids in the class. And so that's how I initially got, and I took it, like, I don't know what year it was, but then I continued to take it. I really enjoyed it. And also no one knew how to sound design, like, because they had never offered it before. So the few of us that had taken the class and like knew how to do it got all the jobs. I mean, no one was paid, but like to sound design for all the productions at the school.
Pioneering.
Yes. So I quickly kind of got into that. And then when I got out of school, it was a way to make small amounts of money, like not real money, but it was, people would hire me to do it. And so I kept doing that while I kind of pursued directing, doing internships and, assistant directing at regional theaters. And I basically, after a couple years, realized I would never, ever make enough money.
Be a long journey.
Right. And, I remember vividly, I wish I could remember what teacher it was, but in school, someone said, if you can imagine yourself doing anything else in life, don't do this. And it really stuck with me. And I would sort of say the same thing for music. I think that's incredible advice. And I do feel like I've gone on a lot of like panels and stuff and been like, don't do it, you know, and that
we need more of that messaging.
Yeah, no, truly.
Don't follow your dreams.
Don't follow your dreams.
You're going to fail.
You're gonna fail.
Every one of you is going to fail. Don't do it.
But the thing is,
you aren't special.
Like, I really, I hate that this is going to be like the clip. Like, don't follow your dreams.
Sound advice. All these like Hollywood people that are like, or CEOs are like, do what you're passionate about. No. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
We need more of that messaging because what has made everything so fucked up. We'll continue this story, but just to interject here, crazy stat I saw the other day. So there's like 150,000 songs a day or something that get uploaded to Spotify.
Daunting.
They guess how much of Spotify's entire catalog is, when I say catalog, all of the music on, I think it's like 90 something million songs. Guess how many of them have 0 listens?
0?
0.
Like, wouldn't you listen to your own song?
You would think.
You would think.
Guess.
I
The vast majority. It's
No.
like 80 or 90% have
Zero
zero
plays.
listens.
I mean, if I uploaded my song, I would listen to it at least 5 times.
Yes.
Like,
That makes you an
but
outlier.
are they real, like, uploads? Like, is it like AI? You know how they're like fake Instagram profiles and stuff? Is it like
There could be.
real
I mean, I'm
songs?
sure there is a
'Cause
degree
who
of
wouldn't
that.
listen to their song?
I don't know, but it's real. Like, that's not talked about enough. That needs to be. There needs to be, because what's saturating the market is stuff that not even the creators themselves are listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're doing that, don't just stop. Like, text it to your friends, like, or don't, or not at all. Like, apparently you don't care to listen
I mean,
to
you
it.
can do it. You can for fun. Like, I think that you can follow.
Or
let
play-
me rephrase. Follow your dreams for fun,
Yeah.
but then get a job.
Yeah.
If I could go back to my younger self, most people do not teach this. They may now, but when I was coming up, the value of compounding interest and put your fucking money in some investments.
I know.
Why was I not told that at 18?
I know.
Even 15.
Yeah.
I could be a millionaire right now. Fuck. I just got to the point where I'm making enough money now to put $200, $250 a week in like investments.
Right.
And I'm 37 next week. So it's going to be a while. Like, you know? So, but if
gotta
I
enjoy
could
the
have gone
process.
back to 18 years ago
Yeah.
and I would have $1 million right now. I'd have over $1 million. Just
I don't know if even if you taught it though, I feel like
Yeah, as a young person, it's
you just like as a young person,
I know.
your brain just like doesn't.
I spent it all on
You're like-
cocaine and alcohol. Yeah.
You're like,
So-
I have $500. Let me go spend $400 out of it on Beats headphones.
Right.
Yeah. Which I literally did that exactly.
Really want the new Beats. Yeah. By Dr.
Let me go
Dre.
spend 75% of my entire net worth on a pair of headphones.
Yeah. Oh, spring break? Cabo? Great. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty crazy. I think, like, if your music has 0 plays after 6 months, it should, like, Spotify should take it down or something.
I think that like global warming somehow we're paying for it. Isn't like things up on the internet.
it uses, energy. 100%.
Well, I mean, what is it? Bitcoin, all that shit too.
Mining,
it's
yeah.
massive amounts of
Right.
server.
Well, that's what's
space.
funny to
Yeah.
me about, like, you know, when people are like, I mean, I don't know if this market crosses over like the environment minded culture and like Bitcoin. That might be two totally different demographics, but yeah, I mean, it's not a sustainable form of commerce strictly because of that, because
Right.
it requires so much energy
Right.
to run, and it's not even at a point of mainstream usage.
I mean, I'm so out of my depth with this conversation. Like in terms of
know.
This
a
is
lot.
where we go. We just
this
go
is-
into
I'm
wherever
like
we go.
so far out of my and just in terms of my knowledge, I can spew some stuff, but like I don't actually know.
Don't take anything as we say as fact.
I
also.
know, it's
By the
true.
way. We're
But don't
not
follow your dream.
we're
But also
not
don't
as-
follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust your gut.
I've had moderate success with just being a musician, and I mean I monetarily I can have provided for myself up until this point, but I'm getting close to 40, and I'm just like I feel like there's past the point of no return.
Right.
I'm like, well, what do I do now? I'll work at Chipotle. Like
You've gone too long without failing. Now you're stuck.
Now I'm stuck, and sometimes I get up and I'm like, I don't want to fucking be creative today.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking go sing either. But whatever.
Yeah.
We carry on.
Well, that's the thing with being a music maker too, especially like as an artist. In a lot of ways, like it's a really young person's game as far as like touring and riding the trend and all of those kinds of things. It's like once you get older, you don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, fuck the trend though.
Well,
Fuck-
I mean,
yeah.
not only that, but to really make it I think in the music business or any business, you have to give up your social. You have to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes your life. It has to
100%.
become your life. And I think any concept that, and maybe it's not true now, but I think any sort of idea that you can have a work-life balance and be successful as a musician or an artist in any real sense to begin with, I think eventually you can once you've become established, but you just have to give it all up. And I mean, the amount of times I worked till 4 a.m. and didn't think twice, and would just slept at the studio and showered at the studio, and like it's all consuming. There are no weekends. There are no let's go have dinner next month. It's like, no, you can't have dinner next month.
Be right back. I'm just gonna go blow my brains out really quick.
But I think that's the way. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that
No, I think it's 100% accurate in that. One, if you want to have a high degree of success at anything, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of these things. And then even music and arts and entertainment is even another layer to it, where it's such a wild west of a culture. Like it's like it becomes everything.
Right.
And even when you're not doing it, you're
doing it.
thinking about it, and it's
Or promoting it. Even when you're
Yeah.
not doing it, you're doing the back end.
doing It's literally, it becomes so much of your life. So unless you are all the way in, just do it for fun. It'll be a lot easier. You'll have a
Well, I think that I think that I can be an asshole and be like, don't follow your dreams. But the people who want it enough,
they'll do it.
Will do it anyway.
Yeah, they'll figure. Yeah, like
And so the idea of telling people to follow their dreams, I just don't think is the right message, because then I think it's false hope. I think it's
is.
so
It's cruel.
impossible. It's so, you can have all of the things going for you. You can have the voice and the looks and the talent, and you can have the charm, and it's still just a roll of the dice. It still could be the wrong.
Yeah, it's luck. Yeah.
it is a lottery.
It is a total lottery. And if you're not, just in for that, if you're not willing to sacrifice everything, it doesn't make sense to do it.
Yeah,
Some of the most talented people are the ones, I mean, that we would see and be like, oh, well, they should be famous. But then some of the not least talented, but way lesser talented
Sure.
people with more of the sense of marketing themselves or whatever, which I've never been great at personally, they succeed more.
I mean, I can't express like how much of my career was just being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
like
100%.
And it's not, I can say that and then say like, it's not that I didn't work really hard. Also, like I think you have to be in the
have
right
that
place.
to supplement it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But most of it was just I happened to be in the room. Like
Yeah.
I just happened to be there. All of it.
yeah. Luck, timing, the things that are out of control are such a big part of it.
Yeah.
But to your point, I do think that the people that are about it and are meant for it and are destined for it, they will, because I do think there's something about like in a woo-woo sort of way, like putting that effort, because I'm kind of similar to me, like a lot of the big crossroads that were really impactful on my life was really just lucky. Like it was like
Yeah.
I didn't most of my career, the successes I have had, one, weren't even things I was looking for. Like, they were things that just kind of came into my lap and were like, this is an opportunity. But at the same time, leading up to those things, I was on sort of a quest that I didn't know what the end destination was, but I was like out in the world and really, trying to get out there and get whatever opportunities I could. But then, so I do think there's something to that. Like, if you're a motivated person, a really hungry person, somebody who has aspiration for yourself, and you really follow that and put yourself out there, life will return that in ways, but you just can't predict what it's going to be.
I think what you said, that like, I'll get off my like sort of my like preaching, but the other, like, the second sort of advice I would give young people is what you said of like, things came up that I wasn't looking for, of like follow the open doors instead of follow your dreams.
100%.
Like, that is so much more important. And I do, again, like with this, let's abolish follow your dreams. I think so many people are so sort of set on like, this is that little thing that I want, that they miss these incredible opportunities that have been presented to them. And like, you found success because you followed these open doors of like, oh, that wasn't what I was looking for, but this is really interesting.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I a long time ago, like, always, like, obviously as a kid, like, growing up, we all want to be like, I mean, not all of us, but like people like myself who are artists that can sing and play and write and things. You think you want to be this like superstar or whatever, and then like, life hits you hard many times over, and you go, oh, maybe that's not what, I mean, for me personally, it's kind of been like, even over the last decade, it's been kind of like, that doesn't really sound that appealing to me sometimes. Like, even if it were to happen, I have found way more richness in like just being involved in all kinds of different things. Like, that's the goal. That's the dream, right? Is to be able to be called to do this session or do this thing with this person or be on this project, And so it's just sort of,
well, fame also, you realize as you get older, like when you're younger, you think fame and success is a certain thing, but it's not.
It's
that.
terrible.
It's like it's a different life.
That is one thing that I have learned very clearly, is that like, it is awful.
Yeah.
There's really, I don't know. I can't think of any upsides.
well,
Like,
Yeah.
this is maybe a perfect segue into one of the biggest superstars ever that you've worked with that maybe we could talk about and what that has done.
Britney?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you were tortured by society, by the press, by your fans, by people who love you and people who hate you. There's no one not torturing you.
Yeah.
Like, it's awful. I wouldn't wish fame on my worst enemy. I mean, no, I would definitely.
There's a few.
There are a few. There are definitely some people, but it's just, it's you become a caged animal, and your life isn't your own, and I don't know how you get it back. Like, I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe just completely coming out of the spotlight, and then
Right.
I don't know how.
Well, especially once you reach, because there's also like
Sure.
tiers
Absolutely.
to fame. Like, there's like your famous artists that like might go out and might be one or two people that recognize them throughout the day, and then there's people that
have to have full
like
security.
who are literally can't step outside their door with like like Britney or whoever, that they're not completely mobbed.
I mean, I think that like the ideal level of like fame is where, like once a week, once a month, someone's like, "Hey man, I loved you. Like you were great, and I love your band," or and you're like, "Thanks, man," and
totally.
And like, "Can I get a photo?" And you're like, "Yeah."
Well, honestly, the absolute pinnacle of what I think the position to have is Max. Like, I remember, like, we worked on that musical of his, and we all went out to, like, a beer garden after, and I just remember sitting there, and it's like, this is a dude who has, like, written, like, who has shaped generations at this point, and not a single fucking person knew who this dude was.
Yeah.
That
Max Martin is who we're talking about, everyone.
which Emily has worked a lot with. Yeah. That is peak gangster. Like, that is like the
but I mean,
pinnacle.
he's done, with no social media, with no,
But he played a different game.
He played a totally different
wasn't
game.
trying to be, like, or maybe, I mean, I don't know, but that's not how it played out. Like,
Right.
he truly made a career out of just being creative, not out of being like a billboard,
Right.
which is like what a huge part of being a commercial artist is like you're selling things. You're
Right.
not just selling your own stuff, you're selling corporate products.
Totally.
And so it's like there's a whole other layer to the career.
Right.
Whereas Max, his job is to, and I mean, you might be able to comment on this too, but our buddy Matt, who worked really close with him on this musical also, he would say like, yeah, he literally just, it's kind of like a 9 to 5 for him. Like he goes to the gym in the morning, goes in the studio during the day, and goes home, hangs with his family. It's like, it's
unbelievable. It's
peak
unbelievable.
life.
Yeah,
that is peak life. And then go
but
to
he's
your,
the only. I mean,
he's the only.
like in
he
terms
is the
of
only
work-life
Max
balance,
Martin.
and he's always had it. It's shocking.
Yeah, that's
And a super cool dude. I've gotten to have dinner with him.
Super nice dude.
I mean, he taught me half of the things I know.
Okay, so let's get some
Let's get
Max
into
Martin Jedi wisdom,
wisdom,
or tricks, or what are some of the
now I'm
things
on the
you've
spot.
taken
See,
away?
yeah, this is the homework I needed to have done.
Just go back into your mind.
No, I mean, like Jupiter's. I'm stumbling on my words here. He taught me how to vocal produce. I mean, that's like basically I would sit in the room with him and do vocal production, and Luke and Benny would be in the other room doing tracks. And I just kind of like, I'd engineer and I'd sit there with him. And, the first song I ever vocal produced on my own, he would always come in, and I would always get to the studio early. And one day Britney showed up early. She showed up like an hour early, and I called him and I was like, what do I do? And he's like, start. I was like, okay.
Best way to learn.
Yeah.
jump
My
in.
entire career. I mean, I can go back, but the entire process has been just start. So I started, and I had worked with her at this point a handful of times. And so I got behind the computer, she went in the booth, and we started doing the song. I don't actually remember what song it was.
What era is this, though?
This would be Femme Fatale.
Okay.
Is that like late
So, like,
2000s?
Mid, like the 10s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it would have been probably like 2011. I think we're looking at maybe.
It's a good time for music.
Yeah, and so anyway,
11, yeah.
yeah.
Released March 25th, 2011.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like early. It's probably like January 2011.
Yeah.
And then Max showed up. He walked in the door, and Britney said, "Hey, can I just do this with Emily?" And he gave me a thumbs up and walked out the door. And that was kind of the start.
Kindred.
And like, we'd edit together and go through it all together. And that was the start of my vocal production career.
Yeah.
And I just started doing things without him or Luke. And yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Okay, so that's a good point to now rewind a little bit. Graduate from theater, or graduate from NYU in theater direction.
Correct.
And then what was the segue into, because Dr. Luke is who onboarded you initially.
Yes.
So how did
I
that
get
all happen?
So going back to don't follow your dreams, I, started doing theater directing, and I was like, I'm never going to make any money. And like, side note, my dad was helping me, or my parents were helping me out with bills, and he used to send me invoices, like paper written invoices that were like, cell phone this much, rent this much, and then best dad ever, priceless. I'm sure I don't still have them, but I mean, dead serious, and he often says, like, I never expected my daughter who worked in theater to make any money. But I
showed you, Dad.
I know. So I was like, I'm not going to make any money. And so I went on, I guess it was Craigslist back then, to look for a job. And I found this posting for sound design for TV. And I was like, I could do this. And at that point I'd done a lot of theater sound design. And I was like, this could be interesting. And, I've heard of TV. There's money there, and so I get this internship with this guy, Steve, who was awesome, really great guy. And it very quickly kind of turned into, he was working on all these shows, and he brought me around everywhere and like showed me how to do everything. And I was like, this is it. This is my career. This is what I want to do. I like got a new apartment. I was like, I'm going to be actually like making a living. And within I don't know if it was 6 months or a year or something, all his shows fell through. Like everything kind of fell apart. And he was like, I have to let you go. And at that point, I didn't even have any really credits. Like I had sort of nothing. Like I was like, this is my new life. But to get that job somewhere else was impossible. Like I didn't have any of the skills. And I was devastated and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got a job editing audiobooks, making like $10 an hour or something. Probably more than that. But
were you working in Pro Tools doing that?
Yeah. And I directed an audiobook somewhere. The guy, I should look it up. It's like the guy who wrote Wicked, one of his other novels, and directed it. And somewhere in the world.
It's a good cultural zeitgeist moment.
I know,
for that story.
It is. And so a couple months later, Steve called me and he was like, hey, I was having dinner with a friend of mine and was telling them that I felt really bad about having to lay you off and like just how awful I felt. And he was like, I'll hire her. So he's like, I know music's not your thing, but like if you want to go work for this guy, you should. He's like successful. He's on SNL.
Here's that open door we were talking about.
Right.
Following the open doors. Yeah.
He's like, he's spending a lot of time. He has he has a studio, like 10 blocks away from you. He, is spending a lot of time in LA, but he needs just someone to do shit. And I was like, yeah, I need a job. Great. Okay. And I remember I had never heard of him. I remember
this is probably before he like really.
Yeah,
took
he'd
off.
done Since You've Been Gone. He was in the middle, I think, of Avril stuff, like Girlfriend. But no, but I had never heard of him. But I remember when I quit the audiobook job, the guy who was like in charge of me was like, this is a really great opportunity. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I had no idea. I had no idea what I was getting into. I was just like, yeah, cool. Editing audiobooks like is not a life. So I went and just was like an office kid. Like I was his first employee. I sorted CDs and like put together filing cabinets and like just did.
So it wasn't even like doing anything vocal related yet.
No. But then, I'd be in the room when he was doing, so he had this like basement studio, like it was an apartment. And the cops were always coming, and he was like,
Because of sound?
yeah, always. And
Amazing.
and he was like, and the cops always left with a huge smile on their face of like, yeah, like he'd invite them in and they'd like listen to them. I mean, he was such a charmer, like just could just charm them away every single time. It was
That's
amazing.
Awesome.
And so, I've told this story many times before, but basically one day he was like, can you go downstairs and like do the fades, edit the fades in the bridge on the kick drum? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like walking down the stairs. It's like this spiral staircase. And I was like, I don't know what the bridge is. I don't know what the kick drum is. I don't know what the fade is. And it's like labeled like bridge, kick. And I was like, I know how to fade. And I was like, okay, I can do this. But I mean, that was like basically the whole thing. It was like I had no idea what I was doing. And I knew how to use Pro Tools. I did know how to use Pro Tools. I did know how to fade. But I didn't know anything about music, and I don't even think I knew what a bridge was. Like it's so embarrassing to say now. But
Did you do theater in high school? Like, were you in shows?
Yeah,
Did you sing?
Barely.
Okay.
I mean, a little like chorusy kind of stuff.
Would you consider yourself a theater kid?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you went to college for it.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. Yeah. I was definitely a theater kid.
So it was in there.
Yeah, but I just didn't like music theory. Like I'd never taken it. I take that back.
Probably something in college.
I took 9 years of piano lessons. So
there you go.
I know.
It's a little.
I should have known more than I did, but anyway, those like 9 years of piano lessons came in handy. But I still can't play the piano.
Beautiful grand piano.
I do have a beautiful. It's still. I'm an embarrassment to piano lessons, probably. So anyway, that was kind of the start, and I worked for him in New York for maybe. I was also teaching at NYU. Actually, I was teaching. Yeah, Jupiter.
She's like, I want to take that class.
I was teaching. They hired me to teach that very first sound design class I ever took. And I think someone dropped out last minute and they're like, Emily's here. And I remember calling my teacher, the person who had taught me, and I was like, help, like how I'm so nervous. Like I'm not qualified to do this. And he's like, I wasn't qualified when I taught you that first class. Did you think, could you tell? And I was like, no. And he's like, they won't be able to tell.
Yeah. Just a bunch of dumb kids.
I know. I think they could tell. But I did that. I taught that class. And then Benny Blanco came on board. He was underage. Like we couldn't even go to a bar with him. I remember
crazy
trying to go to a bar. And basically he said to the two of us, Benny and I, like, I'm moving to LA. Are you guys coming? And I was like, I guess. So we all moved into a house in the Hollywood Hills.
Amazing.
With no curtains, and went to IKEA and bought plastic spoons and air mattresses. And
it was a nice house though.
It's a very nice house. Very, very nice house. Yeah.
It's a good juxtaposition.
Just beautiful Hollywood Hills house. And my room was the vocal booth. So they'd just like come in the middle of the night and just be like, we need to record Egg Shaker. And I'd be like, leave me alone.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it would just, and we went straight into that. I can't take any credit, like that run of just
every hit song
hit song. It just, everything went number one. I mean,
Teenage Dream.
No, it was before that. My chronology is all wrong.
Like I Kissed a Girl.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the beginning of it, because we did that in New York. So it was I Kissed a Girl. So then, and so all the while I'm like learning all this stuff. so he was like, do you want to learn how to comp vocals? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, sit down. And that was Hot and Cold and I Kissed a Girl. Like that's what I learned how to comp vocals on.
That's wild.
And then we came out to New York and it was like, just like you record. I was always there. And that was it. I was always there and I was always available. And, the very first song I engineered on my own was Circus. Brittany walked in and he's Emily, Brittany, Emily. And I was just going to sit there like as I normally did. And he was like, so are you engineering? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're fine. Like he's like, okay. And he's like, I won't let you fail. And he didn't. And that was the very first song I ever engineered.
That's wild.
So it's
coming out the gate hot.
But exactly, like the very first song I ever comped, like learned how to comp, was Hot and Cold and I Kissed a Girl. And it was one of the two. I can't remember. But then the very first song that I engineered was Circus. The very first song that I vocal produced was, I don't know, I should go back and figure it out. But another something, probably.
Is this?
What was I don't know what song. What were her hits from that album? Femme Fatale.
I forget which. I'm like bad at remembering what songs or what albums.
There was at least one that was.
Till the World Ends.
Till the World Ends.
Hold It Against Me.
Yeah.
I Want to Go.
Yeah.
I mean, Till the World Ends is so
Yeah.
good.
It was probably one of those. I remember. What was the second one you said?
Hold It Against Me.
I think it was Hold It.
Fire.
Hold It Against Me.
Inside Out.
I remember. Oh, it was Inside Out. I remember just jumping up and down and like yelling at her, like, "So come on!" Like she's like, "It's too high, it's too high," and I was like, "I can do it, you can do it," and I was like, "So come on."
Well, that's a question I have for you. Actually, my partner Aaron is a huge Britney fan.
Yes.
In fact, really close friends with her former manager Felicia.
Oh, cool.
And I also have a lot of Britney questions, perhaps maybe because I'm a huge fan and we all grew up with her, obviously, and I read her autobiography recently, which is just so crazy.
I have to admit, I have not read it yet. I have it.
Yeah,
it's ready to. It's
had a lot on
there.
your hands.
I've had a lot on my hands.
Yeah,
new mother.
I have a baby.
Little Adeline.
I listened to the. I didn't read. I listened to the audio version with Vanessa Williams.
Oh yeah,
narrating. It was really just amazing and tragic also at the same time. Obviously, we all know Britney's struggles and stuff, but no, that brings me to the question that Aaron wanted to ask was about her voice, because she has this low sort of alto, even, borderline voice there on the lower end there. And why he wanted to know why was she made to sing so high sometimes? If that's maybe even a question worth answering.
I don't know. I mean, because she can.
Yeah, she had the range.
She
Yeah.
can. Like that, I think that I truly think people underestimate her voice. I mean, like every once in a while, or not every once in a while, like when I would let her loose on ad-libs or when she just was really loving a song, it's like, oh my God, like she can sing. I think there was a long while there where she didn't want to. And it was like she was like it was a job, and she didn't want to be there, and it was like just sort of like I'm just gonna do this. I mean, I think that the high stuff, I think really the uniqueness comes out in the higher stuff with her voice as opposed to the lower. I think that was probably I don't know the answer of
Did she have a lot of creative input in the studio with you, or was it just like kind of she would do what she was told by a label, or how much is that influence, with you as the engineer or you producing,
I don't know how much she had. I just wasn't privy to any of those conversations. Later, she would definitely be like, I don't want to do this. I do want to do this.
Yeah.
I like this song. I don't want to do this song. I just have no idea on the earlier stuff.
Would she, because she didn't write much, did she?
A little, some of the stuff
Yeah.
later, but not the earlier stuff that I did.
So would Max like sing those songs
Yes.
and then
Yes.
she would hear that and then
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. He would.
What's Max's voice like?
I mean, it's like not good, but amazing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Which I think it really honestly like makes it easy for artists to kind of hear through it. It's just
Right.
very, I'm sure I have on my laptop like a lot of.
I remember. Well,
demos.
I took drum lessons when I was at the New School with Sean Pelton, who is the drummer at SNL for many decades, and so he worked with Luke and Max on like Behind Hazel Eyes and some of these other like early songs. And I remember when I was taking lessons, he showed me the demo. I think it was of Behind Hazel Eyes, the Kelly Clarkson song. It was Max singing.
Yeah.
And like the drums sounded terrible. Like his voice, like it didn't sound anything. Well, I mean, it was the song, but it was like, it turns into this like beautiful butterfly out of like a pretty
like I said, it's like
rough demo.
amazing but terrible. Like it's like, but it's really, it's oddly like appealing. Like there's something about it that's like, oh yeah, it's great.
Were they
I'll find one and play you some. Sometimes.
how deep into his like demoing of vocals would he go as far as like layers, or would it just be like the lead?
That's a really good question. It's like I'd have to go back and look. I think it was generally, I don't know. For a while there, like he would melodyne in harmonies to do, but I think he would sing them in too sometimes. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But I mean, his harmonies are so intense and so like.
They're
intense.
so good.
They're so good and
Yeah.
so weird. I mean, I remember like, recording them and being like, this isn't right, and then you hear them all in the mix, and you're like, this is so good. But if you break them out, you're like, this is not going to sound good. And it does.
Dude's a Jedi.
I know.
What were you gonna say?
I had dinner with he and Jenny like last year. Aaron, my partner's friends with them, and so I got to hang a little bit. And I just remember him asking me about my piano playing because he was like just interested in that, and I was just like, yeah, I went to school for classical piano. He was like, so you can just sit down and like just play like that? And I was like, yeah. And he thought that was so cool, and I was like, I can die now. Max thinks I'm awesome. Yeah. No.
Full validation.
Yeah. Another thing I was gonna ask you, Emily, just while we're on the subject of Britney, was there any like vulnerable moments? So, I mean, I'm not trying to get personal here necessarily, but just like anything that you remember did you develop a relationship with her personally? Was it any time that she's confided in you, or I'm sure there were stressful moments in her life when she's coming in and out of the studio or day to day, seemed, knowing from what I know, reading her book and everything that she's had to share, like with all of the things that she's been through, without sharing any personal details, I mean, is there anything the connection that you had with her that was special or unique or?
No. I mean, like we're cool and we'd chat, but not like there was no heart to hearts.
Right.
I mean, it was like she was also so overscheduled. It was like, in and out. Like let's get this, done. No, she would know who I was, like in terms of those situations, but not. No, I have no good gossip. I really don't.
Yeah,
I have no. I'm trying to think, but I don't think I have any tidbits.
So out
It
of
was
all
business.
out of all of the singers you have recorded, who blew you away the most?
Oh, I don't know.
Or surprised by how great?
we might have to do like an addendum or something for this. You know what I mean? Like, because I'll be like, oh no, that's who I should.
Well, we'll do another one eventually.
Off the top of my head, I was fairly blown away by Gwen Stefani's voice. I feel like I'm surely missing.
What was Katy like? Because I'm a huge Katy.
She's great. I mean, her voice is great.
Yeah.
I spent like the Katy, Kesha, Britney, all those. Like, I spent a lot of time with them, and doing all those things. I don't know, had I like just had a one-off with Katy, I might have felt the same way. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to say because there were like the people that were kind of around that I met as like just people. I mean, she wasn't famous. There is like this video of somewhere. I don't. It's on probably some old computer of like her and me and Benny Blanco, like I'd burnt popcorn at the studio and like all the smoke alarms went off, and it was because I think I was like started popcorn and then someone called me in to do something like, oh, come do, and I'd forgotten about it. And it was like this studio was like basically on fire, and it's just Katy running around, Katy and Benny and Luke and me like running around and then being like, I only burnt out the studio. But they were, she
awesome.
wasn't. I remember when she was setting up her, and not even TikTok, Twitter, like being like, oh, like I'm going to make this thing called, it was like MySpace era.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I Kissed a Girl was what, 2007?
I think it was 2008.
Yeah, it would have been
around. It was like around when I graduated.
Yeah, probably would have been 2008.
And she's like my age.
Well, we just went to this. Actually, this is pretty hilarious, and I've been wanting to talk about this on the podcast. I just keep forgetting. We went to this event like last week. Have you guys heard of this organization, Baby to Baby? It's like they've turned into, it seems like a pretty big organization now, but it's essentially like a nonprofit charity type organization where they provide a lot of needed materials to poverty-stricken type parents and kids. And that the number one item that ends up being is diapers. Like it's a huge request. And so anyways, they're this really big nonprofit, and through Vanessa's work, she gets like invited to a lot of these things. They have like a whole team or a department in their company that like does these things. And so I've been to these types of charities with her before, and usually they're not super casual, but like khakis, button up, and like whatever, and sit down, have dinner. But this one, and we were getting ready. I was like, what should I wear? She's like, oh, it's kind of like the other one. It's just khakis. And she has
that's really dressy for you, Benny. Yeah, khakis. Yeah.
Well, last night we went to the
black tie for Benny.
Well, last night we went to the Gladiator premiere, and I did go black tie.
Okay, good.
I slicked it out. And so, but we go to this Baby to Baby event, and we get there, and we're like waiting in the line, and I see like Jennifer Garner, and everybody's wearing like gowns.
Oh no.
And I'm like, why am I the most underdressed person here? And it's like this, it ends up being like this big gala. And like, what made me think of this was Katy talked, and like, there was just a bunch of celebrities there, and everybody was wearing gowns. And Vanessa had like a nice dress on. It wasn't a gown, but she could blend in a little bit more. But like all the dudes are wearing suits, like black suits. And I'm the only guy with khakis and a fucking plaid button
awesome.
Up. I did kind of like it.
I was going to say, you're in the music business. That's
yeah,
fine.
I was like,
you're
it kind of
okay.
made me, I'm like the only one
Music biz guy.
guy.
Music biz guy. You're totally fine.
But it was pretty hilarious. Vanessa said I could blame this on her, so I'm blaming it on you. But that was pretty funny. But no, she did. What made me think of this? She's 40 because she did say that at the event.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's 40. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, that's what I think a lot of people, because I hear similar stories from people that have worked with, like, Miley and stuff, and everybody's like, these artists have, it's not a fluke that they go in and like create great songs. It's like these are really powerhouse performers like Kesha and it's
I mean, Miley's voice is incredible. It's great. I mean, it's, even when she was like a kid.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's like these artists like are it's no, I mean, there's a lot of luck and the whole thing we were talking about lottery, but it's at that foundational level. There's
if you watch those videos of Britney when she's like a kid, like younger, like she's awesome. I mean, her performance, like she can wail. I mean,
I mean, she was made to be a perfectionist from day one.
Yeah. I mean, Britney, generation defining. 100%.
I mean, absolutely. Fuck her parents, like fuck them, like so bad. That the book is crazy. Like just
I need to read it.
It's awful.
I should read it too.
I mean, it's just devastating to think like how much she's been through.
Yeah.
I really feel for her. I got drunk one night and watched it was like a Hulu documentary that came out like a couple of years ago, and I messaged her on Instagram. I was like,
she saw it.
She did not.
Her 200 million followers.
Every now and then I go back and check just to see if it's seen. She has not seen it.
But that's anyway, buried.
Yeah,
that's
way buried.
That's deeper than the Earth's core.
But I got so emotional watching it. I was just like, man, it's sucks. It sucks to be treated like that.
Fame is terrible.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Andre 3000. There's a clip of him talking about this. He was like kind of saying the same thing. He's like, fame sucks. Like we humans aren't designed for that level of dynamic.
I mean, I just also think I guess I'm sure it was terrible a long time ago, but there's an I can't pronounce
anomaly.
Anonymous
anonymity.
Thank you. Anonymity. Yeah, I was never gonna get there.
Big word
that you can't have now if you're famous. I mean, it's just. I guess again, there could be another Max. I mean, there could never be another Max, but from the production end, but as an artist, you're never getting a private life.
It's almost just impossible. It's it's impossible to have that career and not have that a part of your life. Right. It's part of the job description. You can't. I
mean, people are pushing back now, but to what avail? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing with that. You see the Chapel Roan doing that a bunch, and I'm like, I mean, I get it, and I think it's noble, and try to reshape the narrative, but it's also kind of what I'm saying. It's just part of the dynamic.
I'm not sure it's going to work. I think people should be able to have privacy, but I just don't know if it's going to work.
I don't think it's possible. Right. I just don't think it's possible to have that career and not have that element, because it is an element of the job. Right. It's you can't really have the job if you're not doing the parts of the job, and it's a part of the job, like it or not. So then had a huge string of working on all of the world's biggest songs. You have a funny Part of You in This A story that I don't think is appropriate for the podcast.
No.
So keep that on the wrap. But so go through that huge wave. Where does life go from that point?
So then, first engineering, first vocal production, and then kind of similar first songwriting. I mean, most of my career is like, I don't know if bookended is the right word, but pointed. Each like level up is Britney related, and so
That's interesting.
what'd you say?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so Claude Kelly, who was an incredible songwriter and was just absolutely dominating that era, I would end up. Luke would send him into a room. We had like lounge rigs set up in all the different like lounges, and would send him in rooms with tracks and be like, write to this track. And he would write on the mic, and he was an incredible writer on the mic. And one time, he was like, you should like write with me. And I was like, what? No, I'm not a writer. And he's like, you are. He's like, the way he would just sing something. And I'd be like, well, if you move this part here and this part there, and like, what if it goes like this? And he's like, that's writing. You are a songwriter. And I was like, I'm not a songwriter. And so we wrote a song, and the first song I wrote, Britney Spears recorded.
Crazy. That's insane.
So like I said, and I
Never stop dreaming, kids.
I know, it's terrible. That's sad.
Follow the doors. Don't follow your
the
dreams.
doors.
I know. And
that song was
Gasoline
okay.
on that album. And so then I had Becca Tishker, who was publisher at the time at Luke's company, was like, okay, like cool. So you're gonna be a writer, like. Who do you want to write with? And I was like, Claude. Like, I can't go in the room with other people. And she like totally baby birded me out into this. Like, come to my house and have dinner with these people. See, aren't they nice? You could write a song with them. And like, I mean, I was helpless. I just like completely like a little baby bird, like brought me into the world. And so then I started writing songs, and I started doing that. And then, actually, no, step back. Right before, I think it was actually before I started writing songs. So it was like 2010, and I just got super, super, super burnt out. I was like, I was working 7 days a week. 24 hours a day. I mean, I was showering and sleeping at the studio. Like the runners used to like have competitions of who could make it the most like pimped out bed out of like foam for me in little ISO booths. And so there were pictures of these like, just tapestries and like little beds that were for me to sleep between me being needed. Wow. I just got super burnt out, and I was like, I don't have a life. I don't have friends. This is too all consuming. And I was about to turn 30. And I think I watched The Devil Wears Prada, and, the guy, what is this? What's his name?
Stanley
Tucci says like, she says like, I have no friends. And he's like, honey, you've made it when you have no friends. And I just like was bawling, and I was like, I've made it. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I quit. I like walked away. I went to Europe for 4 months. I just like got rid of my apartment, sold everything. I was like, I'm moving back to New York. I'm not doing this anymore. I can't live this life anymore. And it's great. I mean, I got sucked back in, obviously, clearly.
Who called you back in?
Luke.
Yeah.
It would start as one-offs of like, can you fly to Detroit to record B.O.B. on like Price Tag with Jessie J, and it was like, can you go fly this place to go do this? And we were cool. Everything was good. And then it was, can you come out and do the Britney album Femme Fatale? Like, will you come do that? And so then I came, and I like got an Airbnb, and because I was like, I'm moving back to New York.
Britney brought you back.
Yeah, Britney brought me back, obviously. I bought an apartment in New York, and I was like, I'm never going back to the music business. Like, I'm out, and obviously that didn't work. And
you bought an apartment in New York.
I did.
Doing okay.
I mean, it was a long time ago, and it was like the attic apartment in a brownstone. It was like the low ceiling. It's like, but yes, and so I did. I came back, and then I basically got lured back out here, and just kept doing things. But it was good because it was more on my own terms, and it was I had slightly more of a life, and then. So yeah, I don't know where does that take us to, and then I started writing. I started writing more. There was a question in there somewhere, I think, wasn't there?
You're answering it. Just where life
brought you
was
back?
going.
How did you get back
from that point
into it?
But you moved to Nashville.
Also too, I want to talk about Europe. What did you do in Europe? What was that? Just a long vacation where you just eat, pray, loving out there?
Totally. I mean, I was with a boyfriend at the time, but I was completely. We spent a month in Berlin. We just went around Turkey.
Just gallivanting.
Yeah.
What was your favorite destination in that journey?
Probably just like random places in Turkey. I mean, it was so crazy. It was just like the hot air balloons and the like Cappadocia.
Authoritarianism.
It was, I know. It was before. It was much safer then. I don't think you can go back now. Really. It's like kind of not safe.
Is that before Orban? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, it was 2010. So.
Okay. Yeah, perhaps. I don't know the timeline. Yeah.
We went to Copenhagen, and I'm trying to think of where else. The cheapest way to get home was through Iceland, because Icelandic Air was really cheap, and it was like, to fly back. None of the trip was really planned. The month in Berlin was, and then what happened after that wasn't. And so the cheapest way to get back was through Iceland. And so we spent a couple days in Iceland, which was awesome.
Nice. Yeah, Iceland's...
I want to go just, if only to see the
Northern
Aurora.
Lights. Yeah.
Also a lottery.
Yes.
To see them.
It's true. Yeah.
I went to the ends of the earth, Alaska, to see them.
Yeah.
Fairbanks, Alaska, which was great. But so, I quit. I ran away. I went to Europe. I had my Eat, Pray, Love. I mean, I basically just wandered around the streets just being like, trying to decompress.
Came out of the closet.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. Of just, you really get like work. And it's like all you want to do. And then I came back, and then I moved to Nashville. I got married, got divorced, the whole,
What years were you in Nashville?
I have no idea. Probably like 2013 to 18.
Okay.
Because I came back here right before the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we met was up at Luke's house.
Yes.
You were staying there. What do you call it? The crack house?
The
the
crack
little
house.
studio next door?
Yeah.
And
Did you guys meet when you were living in Nashville?
no, that I was in Nashville in 2012, but it was when I had the apartment out here with Olivia and Holland in 2019.
Right.
Yeah, Brian and I had sort of camped out at the little studio house.
Yeah. And then, and that was the year before COVID. And you were, when we met, you were saying, you were looking to
come out here,
move back out here.
Right. And I still had the house in Nashville.
Yeah.
And then I moved onto this street, and then I made you move onto this street.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then
timing,
I moved
lucky.
out here 6 months after Benny did.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you weren't here.
No. Yeah, I've only been here like 3.5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Be 4 years, January 1st.
Crazy.
Yeah. And that was so crazy. Just timing, all of that too, with finding this place. Was up at your house that's like summer of 2020. And
No, 2020?
yeah, 2020, because it was like, it was during COVID.
Okay.
And I had came out here because we had decided we were going to move to LA. Like it was like, I mean, I had the apartment out here, but for that year and a half or so before, I was just coming back and forth. And then once we realized COVID was this is not going away, this is what it is.
Right.
We made the decision to move out here, and so made a trip out here to kind of look around at things, and we were hanging. You're like, oh yeah, Tommy, my friend's moving out of his house down the street. Do you want me to like link you with him and the landlord and stuff? And
I think I was like, you have to move into this house.
Yeah. No, this is more like that. Yeah. And here we are. And it didn't go on the market or anything. It was just all like word of mouth.
Great house, great studio.
It's
so
great. This has like been such a game changer. Like it's like follow the doors.
I know.
Follow the doors.
I know. You can't get like the natural light in here. It's like it's so nice.
Yeah. Well, the cameras can't see, but behind it is where my drums are, and there's like big sound baffles, which is where Tommy had his desk. But coming from New York, I was like, I'm not looking at a fucking dark wall.
Right.
Anymore.
I lived in a dungeon in New York too. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we can look out at the tree and some light.
So nice.
And now in my apartment in West Hollywood, the sun sets like just flushes my apartment with light all afternoon until it sets. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not a studio, like one of those like dark studio people.
No.
So
Not if I
many
can
people
avoid
are,
it. No.
So many people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll get you in a hole. I feel like that'll make you depressed.
I mean, I think it makes it so you can work all night and like not really
Just be
know
like
the
completely shielded from reality. Yeah, I mean, you've had a fascinating life. I love hearing all the stories you got.
Thanks.
And now you have a young one.
I
running
do.
Yeah,
around.
I do.
just continuing that
Continuing
that novel.
And
journey.
you will tell her to not follow her dreams.
I will tell her to not follow her dreams.
Follow
I
the
know.
doors.
We're constantly
that's what we're taking away from.
We're
this
constantly like, no, she can't be this. She can't be. I mean, I see on like social media other people pimping out their children. I'm like, don't do it.
Yeah.
I just don't even think they necessarily know.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't. If you haven't been close enough to it, I don't think you know the danger.
For sure.
Like-
for sure. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing growing up down south. I've had to learn about the entertainment business completely on my own by being out in it. There is no relativity. There's no understanding of what it really is. And it's like, I remember, I mean, there's just, you are sold by what this city sells you. Like this whole smoke and mirrors of celebrity culture and entertainment and success and fame. And then the more you do it, the more you see behind that curtain and realize really what it is, which is not at all that. It's a whole...
I mean, I'm going to just jump back and say, like, it's also really fun. Like, there... I'm like, don't do it. But I can't sit here and say that, like, it hasn't been really great and awesome.
But if you... kind of what you said at the beginning of the pod, like if you can imagine yourself doing anything else, then don't do that. But like if that is the life you're called to do, for sure, like it balances itself out. It's like there is a lot of really crazy, amazing stuff that happens.
When I think of myself doing anything else, it's a piano in the middle of a field with a cow around it, with cows around it. So that's
You could
that's
do that.
not lucrative. So I better keep doing music.
You got to play for people that know the concept of money.
Yeah.
Living things that.
Yeah. My algorithm is just people playing instruments around large animals. So yeah.
Yeah, it's,
maybe there's a future in that.
I hope so. I want a hobby farm.
As
and
technology
I will do that.
evolves.
I will do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will live. I mean, if I could move to
Markets
a farm
will
right now, I would
expand.
live stream. I would Truman Show my whole life out in the farm and just play music for animals all day. I would do it.
I don't know. That seems like maybe people would watch.
Yeah, probably.
But now, just film it.
Yeah.
Just film it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sell some ads. There you go. You got a career.
It's been nice hanging out with you.
Brennan's moving
to the farm.
Back to
See you guys later.
Back to
Back to
Appalachia.
Kentucky. Yeah, back to Kentucky.
And it was right around that. Well, maybe it was like a year or two before that we met, because you guys were definitely in the well along in the process when we met, which is one of the themes around of how we met. But you're in Brian's musical,
Yes.
Better Days.
I know.
Which
our
is
musical.
now complete.
It is complete. It is complete.
I said to Brian on the podcast, if you need a reader or a performer.
Well, there was one character that he was saying specifically. It was what was the gay?
Derby Greg.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think it was
sounds legit. Let's go.
You could be a derby. You look like a derby.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, that was Better Days was born out of, I don't know how much Brian got into it. Did Brian?
I mean, a little bit, but let's get into it more.
Yeah.
We were both miserable. Did he get into this part? We were both.
I mean, I'll let you tell, but he did say it was at a point of where you both were kind of just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we were both going through our own sort of crises. I was in the process of getting divorced. He was in the process of his band breaking up. All reevaluation points of your life, and I at that point was like, I wanted to do theater. Like maybe now's the time. Like maybe
that inner theater kid never.
I know. It's true. And I was like, okay. And so Brian and I, there are great touchstone photos of us. There's this photo of us looking. And see, going back to like people who blew your mind voices wise, like Chester. I was working on Linkin Park at the time, and absolutely blew my mind vocally. I mean, just really incredible. So I was out here. I was staying at the Andaz. That was like my spot when I lived in Nashville. And I called Brian, and we hadn't really talked much in since I had first written with him. Oh, and Brian, and so back to the baby bird story. Becca was like, there are nice people that you could write with. And she's like, how about write with this guy? And it was Brian, and she like brought him over to the studio and was like, look how nice he is. And we wrote for his album. We were wearing the exact same shirt. I was wearing the girls' version. He was wearing the boys' version of an American Apparel shirt.
I think I remember this. Yeah.
I used to work at American Apparel.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's photo evidence of our first writing session together.
Did American Apparel get Me Too'd? Is that
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Hard.
Big
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
Yeah. He was a raper.
Yeah. Not good.
Got him.
Yeah.
Dove Charney. Yeah.
That's his name.
Yep.
Did you meet him?
Is he in jail?
Nope. I didn't meet him, but I just knew the story because
Yeah.
I worked there.
The most
I was working there
overpriced clothing.
in the midst of the whole scandal going down. And
Oh, really?
Like I remember, this was in Memphis. There used to be a store there, and our manager was like, "Hey, we might be out of business like really soon." And then like a few years later, they were.
Yeah.
Now it's like Los Angeles Apparel or whatever.
Oh, is it the same?
I
mean, it looks.
I think
similar.
so.
Yeah.
I think that they bought the distribution or the warehouses and stuff and just relabeled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it back to
I
V-neck.
could be totally wrong with that, but it looks
The
like
deep
the same
V.
branding. Yeah. Yeah.
It was popular.
It was a
Yeah.
time.
But we were wearing, I mean, exactly the same color, exactly like boy, girl.
like the little stripes.
It was like it was like blue and white, thin striped. He was wearing the sweater.
Not to interrupt the story, but this is funny. When I worked there, I was in college, and I loved it so much. I thought it was so cool because everybody loved American Apparel, and I dressed like a fucking slut at that store. I wore the tiniest shorts, mesh tank top. I think at one point I was.
That's
going
what you would wear to our shows.
Yeah, I think. We were also in an '80s cover band at the same
Amazing.
time. So like, kind of like cool kids around Memphis. I'm pretty sure at one point I was wearing roller skates also in the store.
OMG.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And like I would wait, like I had a deal with Carla, was one of the girls I used to work with, and I was like, if any hot guy walks in, like I'm
Mine.
the sales associate.
Mine.
Yeah. Like if they remotely look gay, she's like, I got you. So
Even if they're not gay.
yeah, I would just swing over and be
roller
like,
skate.
Maybe I can convince them.
Can I help you sign anything?
Let me know if you need another.
This podcast needs like pictures, like just that come up. Like we need the picture of you with the roller skates.
Yeah. I have the Rockosaurus Rex photo on the couch in the living room. I'm wearing like the exact outfit that I would wear.
I had the silver dinosaur junior dunks. I remember that photo.
Oh my God. I did.
What a time.
I got some boyfriends from that job for sure. Yeah.
It was popular.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, sorry. You and Brian meeting.
Yeah,
shirts.
wearing the same shirts. And so anyway, we hadn't really kept in touch. I mean, vaguely. And but all of our songs had this kind of musical. There was a particular song that I was like, we could turn this into a musical. And ironically, it's not in the musical actually at all. It was like the jumping off point for the musical, and it's not in it. And so I called him and I was like, come meet me at this bar. And it was when he was still drinking heavily and at the hotel bar. And we were just miserable, and we're just like, and I said, I want to write a musical. Like, will you write a musical with me? And he was like, I don't know. And then, very soon after he was like, well, I'll come to Nashville and like, we'll like start. And then he just like kept coming back and for a minute moved to Nashville. And we just wrote about our sad feelings.
It's a good jumping off point for an art piece.
Yeah, I know. We were just kind of drinking. I mean, not heavily, but like just drinking enough and writing about our feelings. And amazingly, people liked it, and we got an agent. And then she's like, "What do you need?" And like, we need someone to write a story because all we have is just a bunch of sad sap songs. I mean, happy sad, obviously you know them, like
crying on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Vibes.
That have a vague idea but no real story. And so we got hooked up with this incredible writer, Eric Garcia, who wrote a story around it, which is just amazing. And he, our agent approached him with it, and he was like, "No, I'm doing too many things right now." He was doing a huge Netflix show at the time. And it was in the middle of the pandemic, and she's like, just listen to it. And so we listened to it. It's like, fine, this is great. I'll meet with them, but I'm not going to do it. I think their stuff is great. And then he ended up meeting with us, and we just completely hit it off. And he was like, fine, I'll do it. And he wrote this incredible book. And now we have a director on board. And it's awesome. It's really exciting. It's a whole new experience for us. And, I don't know, getting back, following my dreams, guys.
Yes. At the end of it all circles back around.
I know. I'm not doing what I told with the advice I gave. I'm circling back around.
Generally sound advice, though.
I know. So
soon enough, be on the stage.
Yeah, it's great. I don't, I'm generally not a like hype person, but I think it's
this deserves the hype.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really proud of it. I think it's exciting, and it's exciting to pursue.
Totally.
We're having fun with it, and soon I'll just be so silly musical wealthy that like, it won't even matter.
La Jolla Playhouse. Let's put that out there.
It's theater is not exactly the place to go to get rich quick, but
now theater is the long game,
right?
For sure,
right.
But you got all these other things to tie you over,
right. It's the passion project at the end of the day,
I mean, well, that is sort of going back on some of what we were saying. It's like you do half. It's like you have to follow the passion to get to those doors. And so it's like the passion is what's leading the way throughout the journey.
Yeah.
And, you get into this because you love an elements of it on one degree or another. And it's like, if you really are about the life, then that's not just gonna go away. It'll
Something will happen with it. It'll see the light of day. I really
100%.
I really believe in
100%.
it. I really do.
Can't wait to see it.
It's just a matter
Or be in
of,
it.
Or be in it. Yeah, I'll love to audition anytime.
I mean,
yeah.
Brennan has a musical theater background.
Amazing.
Like
I've done
Lacage.
Well, I've done
You've done a bunch of them.
Number of musicals, both on and off stage, music direction and being an actor. Yeah.
So maybe you'll
We're
play
all.
piano
I
in the
mean,
pit.
everyone.
Absolutely.
You know, you're from not from the musical world, but have
Yeah, I mean, similarly, like just follow the door.
theater.
It
yeah.
was not something I was. Well, it was kind
I
of.
guess I don't actually even know the story. How
of Hamilton.
how
Yeah.
you ended up there.
So it's kind of similar, just following the doors. When I wasn't a theater kid in high school, I was like a punk rock, little metal, hardcore kid, but I did play in like the local productions, high school productions, and did enjoy it. Like I liked playing in a pit, and I thought the music was fun to play, and I was just like, we would go to Chicago because my family's from Chicago, so we would go to Chicago and see shows, and I always just thought, oh, this is like such a cool environment, like looking down in the pit. It was something that was always interesting to me. And then in college, Bren and I played on some musicals together in college, and it was always something that I thought was fun, but it wasn't. I wanted to, at this time, go to New York and be the next greatest jazz drummer and shit like that, and which is what took me to New York. But it's funny too. I should say this, like when you guys were kicking all of that off, I remember when I heard Kesha's TikTok, I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like I was like, I am obsessed with this, like particularly like as like a producer. This is like, these were I like fucked around in high school making beats on like
You were like,
Fruity Loops.
oh, whoa. Oh, whoa, cool.
I was very much so.
Like my Kesha joke?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
I wish I had the sound effects. Would have been a doing, doing. And heard that beat. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I want to learn how to do all this shit. And so a lot of that shit, like, and the fact that Luke was like a guitar player, like I had all of this like kindred feeling to all of it. I was like, this is so sick. Like I'm really drawn to this creative journey. And so amidst all of this, I was like starting to make beats and starting to like write songs and so it was like a little bit of that, but I also really wanted to be like a New York jazz guy. So long story short, moved to Nashville for a bit, did not like it. It was not a love connection. Nashville's a great town for the people that like it, but that was not my scene. And dropped out of college in Memphis and then had room to finish my degree and always had this dream of going to like a New York music school, conservatory kind of thing, and applied to NYU and New School and Juilliard and Manhattan School, and ended up picking the New School and transferred up there. And my first semester, I had a class with the percussionist from The Lion King. And this was like 2012. And so it had already been open, like, 15 years or something. It has already been around a long time at that point. And my roommate in the dorms at the end of the semester, he was like, you should ask him if you can go sit in the pit with him. That's like a thing that you can do, and like they'll let you come watch, and maybe they'll let you sub or something. And at this point, I was just up there trying to explore any opportunities. Like I was in school, but the school was kind of a means to an end. The school was like almost an excuse to work into being in New York and living and working in New York. And so when sat in that show, and it was really fun, like The Lion King, like the percussionists they're not down in the pit. They're like up, like kind of in.
Good show.
Yeah.
Is it still playing?
It is,
Still
yeah,
going.
20-something years.
I mean,
at
I don't
this
think I've
point.
seen it
Yeah,
since
probably
then.
25 years. Amazing show. Because I'm not a theater person. Like, I don't. Most theater, I think, is trash.
I've
like,
seen the tour. I haven't seen it on Broadway, but I mean,
Like, I
it's
think
still awesome. Yeah.
The problem with most musicals is the songs are trash nowadays. Like, back in the day, like Cole Porter, Roger Hammerstein, those were fucking slammers.
Yeah.
And like Wicked, Lion King, these have amazing songs, like truly bops. Where most shows, the songs are just so trash,
Not
And
that
so-
memorable.
Yeah, and so that's not my thing. I love
We're
like, great
we're trying to
songs.
bring back the hits.
No, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like Better Days has fucking bops. So, and you have to have that. You have to have that.
Well, the sad part of Broadway now is it's like so many shows that they're pouring so much marketing into, or the ones that are popularized. It's kind of a catch-22 because it's like so a lot of these jukebox musicals that are wrangling up all these like catalogs.
Totally.
Like Max has a show out
well,
right
it's
now.
similar.
But that's great because it brings people that otherwise may not be drawn to the theater into the theater. But it's like, yeah.
Well, it's also the kind of this Hollywood culture right now too of the sequel. Like
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
just making sequels,
Yeah.
and just it's a very capitalistic
Yes.
culture.
I mean,
right now.
we have been talking to investors, and one of them just with no shame just said like, we don't invest in anything that isn't already existing IP.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
What?
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like-
it won't stay that way because it's already starting to fail. Like it's
no,
already
just totally like no shame of just like, yeah, no, it has to be existing IP, and I'm like, I'm totally speechless. at
it's
that.
gross.
Like,
it's
but movies are the same. I mean,
It
it's
is.
the same. It's
but a lot of it is I could be wrong. I don't think it'll last. I mean, it's like even with the Marvel thing, it's not having the same effect on culture than it was 5,
Right.
10 years ago. Like people are gonna have to, it's cyclical. And so
anyway, you were gonna go sit in.
I go and sit at the Lion King. I'm like, oh, this seems super fun. Like it's one of the reliable sources of work in New York as a musician. And so from there, I met the drummer at Lion King. From him, I got introduced to some other people and just went around and sat in with all these people, trying to get them to let me sub for them and like get some work. But nobody asked me to sub, but I made these friends. And at this point, I'd been there for a couple years and wasn't really leading anywhere. So I was sort of doing other things, looking elsewhere, like working with more artists and producing more with people and playing drums with just various bands in New York and things. And then just randomly, probably like 3 months after I graduated, I get one of my buddies, Sean McDaniel, is like a really respected Broadway drummer, hits me up and he's like, hey, there's this musical that's getting developed. I think you could be a good fit for it. Just send me some materials over so I can forward over to the music director. And then I did, and he told me about it. Like, it was like, this is Lin-Manuel's next show. He did In the Heights, and the way it was sort of explained to me too, it's like it'll be like it's starting off Broadway, but it should go to Broadway. It should do well. It'll probably have like a few year run. Because it was like I remember also it was explained it's about the founding fathers and it's hip hop, and I'm like, this sounds
You're like, I don't know about
weird.
that.
But I was just like, hey, work, I'm down, like a consistent job. Like I was freshly out of school. I needed to I had sold my car that I had, or my parents helped me sell it, so I had that like however many thousands of dollars before, like I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And then this came along, and then I met with Alex Lackamore, who is the music director, and met up with him, and we had lunch, and I think this was also maybe beneficial for me because I didn't really know Alex. He had he was in the original Wicked and had done other things. So he had a reputable career. But I was just, just trying to be my easygoing, hang self and just, just chill. And we met up and we just had a good hang and clicked. And then he offered me the gig. And then after the first show, it blows up. And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
The first show at the Public?
Yeah, off Broadway. Yeah. Tom Hanks is at the first show. Wow. And that for me was like so crazy because I had played with various people, but nothing that was like really like people like that were coming to watch.
In rehearsal, did you guys know it was good?
Yeah. It was very emotional. Sits probe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, people were like crying.
But everyone sort of knew like
people knew this was good. Like this is like gonna be special. But of which it turned into there's no predicting that kind of
there's
thing.
no I mean it's unlike anything ever.
Yeah.
Like right? I mean in terms of success?
Yeah. I mean it's a multi-billion-dollar business. Production. Yeah, but like I remember Tom was at that. I was like, holy fucking shit, Tom Hanks at the fucking show. That's crazy. And then it was literally everybody in the world came to see it. And then it just and a few months later went to Broadway, and then it all just exploded more. But similarly, it was like I wasn't looking for that. That was the last thing on my radar was like joining a life-defining musical. Like it just couldn't have even.
We're the lucky ones. I mean, it's
that's the thing is like I was very actively out there, like trying to make my dreams happen.
But I guarantee you, there were 100 other at exactly the same time guys like you who didn't get the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was I've talked about this on old episode. That I think is what made me get the job because I wasn't a Broadway guy, and Alex knew a bunch of Broadway guys, and they all, they all can assimilate to each other, and they're kind of all interchangeable. Whereas I was like this kid that was fucking around with Ableton and like electronics, and I still am like a total like Jay Dilla like student and devotee, and like so I sort of separated myself from all of these people by just being myself, by pursuing and engaging with what I love and was passionate about. And so I think that's what made me stand apart with Alex. He's like, hey, it's this young kid who does all this shit that I need him to do. Like, he's also, in hindsight, I'm not going to put up any sort of fuss about shit. Like, I'm like a 24-year-old. Like, he's probably thinking, oh, he'll do whatever I need him to do, and it's not going to be a headache. And so, yeah, it was like through all of these things of just me being me is what ended up making it all work out. So it's like, I think you definitely have, if you try to be somebody else or if you try to be other things, you're going to really run into a hard time really scaling. But I think if you really are passionate and put yourself out there and develop yourself, and also we've talked about this before too, like be a fucking cool human being, like just baseline, just don't be.
I don't know though. Can you like be cool if you're not cool?
Yes.
Really?
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
you're
like
obviously cool.
just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop being a turd.
Yeah.
But but are the people who are being turds don't know they're being turds?
I don't know, Emily.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of turd Fergusons out there.
I know, but
but they don't recognize that they're being turds.
I like, not to get all like self-help, but it's like what's her name? Brene Brown.
Brene Brown.
Yeah.
I fuck with Brene Brown.
Yeah, I like her.
Like everyone. I mean, I don't necessarily believe this, but like I try to like wrap my head around the idea that everyone is doing the best they can.
Yeah, yes, but people, it's not enough. It's not enough.
I mean, there is
Try harder. Everybody try harder.
But then the trying is like the problem.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the people who are trying really hard sometimes are like the absolute worst.
And there's a lot of
see what you're saying.
undiagnosed
Yeah, that's true.
sociopathy and narcissism, So,
Just that's a conundrum.
like I remember recently being at a party and someone was trying so hard and I was like, oh, you're so hard to be around because you're trying so hard.
Well, that's kind of the other key, and I can
don't
even
try.
Yeah, well, I think there is
Try,
something
but don't try.
Yes,
Great.
Don't the what it is just don't give a fuck.
But also give a fuck.
Be a nice person.
But also really give a fuck.
Yeah, but like you can't white knuckle. Like you got to let go and just like. Because I can even think about this in my own life. Like whenever I'm like really trying to grasp onto that control, things don't go well. But if you just let go and you sort of just go with the flow and you still show up, that's the key, I think, is, show up, apply, but don't overdo it. Like just be chill.
don't for any reason
Ever.
no matter who or what, ever, just don't. Michael Scott.
Office.
You guys
reference.
lost me. I'm
Sorry,
I'm gone.
I knew we left you in the dust there.
I'm gone.
Some people will get it. Yeah,
No.
The Office knowers they'll get it. We've both seen The Office probably a good 15 times through.
Like the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
How many seasons?
Like 10.
There's 9. Yeah.
It was on like go to bed with Netflix on for a good 10 years.
Formidable
probably.
years. Yeah. And ironically, we've never really worked in an office, but it's just great. Yeah. I mean, it's funny for
my
anyone.
first job was in fast food. My second job was working at an airport.
I was an executive assistant for 9 months, and then I got fired. So.
I had an office job. I worked for about.com.
About.com?
It was like, I mean, when you needed to know about things.
It was like Ask Jeeves.
Was it Ask? Like Ask Jeeves?
Yeah. It just like brought
Google ended up on top of everybody.
It brought you to pages like that you needed to learn about like how to crochet or something, and I was like
early internet.
I was a market research analyst.
Nice.
I had a cubicle. I like pimped out my cubicle.
Nice.
I like unscrewed the fluorescent lights up above and like put in, like lamps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As
Brennan's
I
a big
would too.
lighting guy.
Huge lighting guy.
Oh,
yeah.
lighting matters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
lighting's
my
key.
piano at home, like Benny's right here, gutted, or with the fall board and stuff off, and I've got like LEDs that change colors inside. And light
Do you
it up.
walk by people's houses sometimes and be like, how do they
Yes.
live?
Yes, and what really irritates me is when you have a warm light bulb and then a bright light bulb.
You can see it in people's
psychosis.
houses.
You-
Like,
it's an immediate my brain can't comprehend how anyone can live around that. Like,
I think about like, is that ruining their life?
Yeah.
Like maybe they don't know it.
yeah.
That's why they're not cool.
Yeah.
No, but I think that maybe
Or lighting.
it's like, it's like hurting them.
It's making their life shorter.
It's just making them irritable. Like if you had fluorescent lights like in your living room and all the time, like you probably wouldn't be very happy.
No. It's like you're in a fucking terrarium
Yeah.
or something. I also don't.
Vanessa does love some artificial light, but not like.
Yeah. It's fine if you're getting
Maybe
shit done or something.
Maybe people really like it.
I mean, not like, what we're talking about, but like in the morning, like the sun's shining through, but also loves like these lights on.
If I
No,
go
I'm
in-
like constantly. I'm just walking around.
I
I
want-
feel like
yeah.
I'm like, oh, if this is what it's to be a parent, like just constantly turning off lights, being the energy bill.
I need a
Natural
dimmer.
light.
I need a dimmer on a light. I need this is fine. These are warm lights. In fact, next week tomorrow when we do the pod again, I'm going to get my different
Warmer.
because this ring light is the harsh light that I'm talking about, the white light. I hate a colored Christmas tree.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
I like
see,
a color
that's
Christmas
okay.
tree.
Not for me. It's fine if for anybody else.
That's okay. I'm
Aesthetically,
okay with that.
don't love it, and I like just the warm white lights on it. Yeah, I'm a huge I have the hue lights that can change any color and set the scene or whatever. My bathroom looks like a Barbie dream house. It's got
Well, it's literally pink.
yeah,
also.
it's pink tile, old West Hollywood apartment. Pink tile, and then the black and white checkered floor. So I've got all these up and down lightings and stuff. Yeah, but
What our electrician, when he was putting all the lights into our new house, he was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I wanted dimmers everywhere, in the closet.
Yep.
There, he's like, "Why would you need dimmers in the closet?" I'm like, "Cause when it's in the morning or in the
Yep.
night and you want to turn on the light, and how could you live without dimmers on?"
Am I
every
hiring you to
single-
ask questions?
Yeah.
Just put them in.
yeah,
But every single light has a dimmer.
yep. I hate when
I love dimmers.
because I used to work in property management too, and I would I was just a property manager, but I would always try to advise the people that have no taste that are coming in and refurbishing these apartments and turning them over. I'm like, will you please put a dimmer on this wall? And then also please don't put the domed fixture, just the stupid.
It's very 1950s.
They call them,
glass.
they call them now boob lights.
Boob light. Yeah. Get that shit out of
No,
there.
I
Can you
didn't
spend
know that.
$50 more at Home Depot and get a nicer fixture? I'll go pick it out. And I did. And they're those apartments rented like that when I was in
Yeah, the
charge.
boob light ain't it. That,
the thing with the little nipple that
Yes.
screws in. That's
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I learned about boob lighting recently.
Yeah,
Horrible.
that fell out of style about 70 years
I
ago.
will pass immediately on an apartment if there's not recessed lighting. Yeah.
No, see, because you can change it out. I
You
mean,
can take- yeah.
the amount of chandeliers that even in my rental, down the street, I had an electrician come and put in chandeliers
Sure.
in the bathroom and change all the lights to. I think I did all the dimmers myself, which is totally crazy.
Impressive.
Some of them
That's
were
impressive.
Still here.
backward. I know, and there
Yep.
were one that I think it was a 2-switch situation. and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I did it right, so hopefully
I changed one of my
hopefully my
dimmers
old
myself
landlord isn't
too. Yeah, I
listening.
was worried. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Got to get the grounding right.
Oh,
Whatever.
yeah.
I'm gonna go capitalist on that one and outsource that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lighting is
But
important.
impressive.
Lighting is key. Lighting is key.
It is.
I think I tried to do one when I was pregnant, and
That's dangerous.
I know I zapped myself a little and was just sort of beside myself for a day.
Yeah.
I was don't. Why did I do this? This is such a bad idea.
Now here
She's
she
fine.
is in the world,
I know.
just being a little human.
I know she's okay. I immediately Googled it and was like, "Is my baby okay?" She was fine.
Turned out better than ever.
I know.
Amazing. Well, Emily,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you for coming
Emily.
on.
Thank you guys.
This
was
was
fun.
a great episode.
Oh,
I think we got some fun stories.
And we always titled the episode with the person's name, but today, the subheading is definitely
Don't follow your dreams.
"Don't follow your dreams." No, what should we say? Yeah, don't follow your dreams. Follow the doors.
Follow the open doors.
Follow
Yeah.
the open doors.
There you go. That's
Put
the
that on a
lesson for today.
tombstone.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you guys.
See you soon.
Love you.
Yeah.
Ben and Bren Show. Peace out.
Stuff you know and stuff you don't. It's the Ben and Bren Show.